Uzi nimewajibu siku moja na hata sikuwajibu, niliwaambia tu tabia yenu si mzuri. Kaeni namna hii, wacheni wizi ya kuibia mayatima na wajane. Hiyo ndio wizi mbaya zaidi. Wacheni mauaji.
President William Ruto has defended his recent public remarks targeting the opposition, saying he will continue to respond firmly to criticism, even as fresh demands emerge for a new inquest into the 2019 death of blogger Morin Gachagua. The president's remarks were delivered on Friday, March 20th, 2026 during an Eid ul-Fitr luncheon at Kisumu State Lodge. It was a setting meant for a unity and reflection. But the message carried a clear political tone, and President Ruto used the platform to address what he described as sustained criticism from sections of the opposition and the public. He maintained that his recent statements were not inappropriate.
Wacheni mauaji ya wasichana, watoto. Nimewaambia wakuwe na nidhamu. Chakula wapunguze, wasikule sana.
And he rejected claims that his remarks crossed the line of a presidential conduct. According to the president, his intention has been to shift focus toward policy discussions. He indicated that his effort has not been matched by his critics, and instead he said the conversation has often turned into personal attacks directed at him. And in response, the president signaled that he will not remain silent. He stated that he is prepared to continue addressing the opposition directly, and he made it clear that his engagement will not be limited. The position reflects a broader communication strategy, one where the head of state allocates part of his time to respond to political opponents. Earlier, the president had indicated that he would dedicate a portion of his public engagement to such exchanges, and now that approach appears to be taking a more visible form. At the same time, President Ruto framed his response as a reaction to what he described as prolonged criticism. He pointed to a pattern of remarks from his opponents over the past 2 years.
Wanataka tu majibizano kati yangu mimi na hao. Sasa nikawajibu tu kidogo, nduru wameanza, body shaming, sijui nini. Kwani kuambia mtu enda kwa gym na upunguze chakula ni body shaming?
He suggested that his current stance is a response to the history, and beyond the immediate political exchanges, the president also raised deeper national concerns. He referenced and resolved issues that, in his view, require continued attention, and among them past cases of killings, the discovery of bodies in rivers including River Yala, and the concerns about disinheritance of widows. These issues, he indicated, remain part of the broader national conversation, and he suggested that they should not be overlooked. The timing of these remarks is significant. They come at a point when a particular case has returned to public attention. The death of blogger Morin Gachagua, which occurred in 2019, is now under renewed scrutiny, and nearly 7 years after the incident, her family is now seeking a fresh inquest. Through their legal representatives, they have formally written to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The letter submitted on March 19, 2026 outlines several concerns about the original findings. At the time, Morin's death was officially recorded as a road accident, but her family now disputes that conclusion. They argue that circumstances surrounding her death point to a different possibility, and one that suggests planning and coordination. According to the information presented in the letter, Morin traveled to the Mataga area on the day of the incident. She was reportedly in the company of a female friend, and the family claims that this individual may have had links to a senior political figure. They further state that Morin remained in the area until later in the evening. When she attempted to leave, arrangements were made for her transport. A border rider was called to take her from the location, and the letter suggests that specific instructions were given regarding her destination, raising questions about whether the movement had been pre-arranged. Following the incident, the rider is said to have disappeared and only reappeared after being summoned by the local authorities. This detail has become a key point of concern for the family. They argue that it raises questions about the sequence of events and about the reliability of the initial investigation. Another issue highlighted in the letter relates to the motorcycle involved. According to the family, the bike showed no visible damage. A detail that is inconsistent with the typical road accident. The observation has added to their doubts about their official account. Medical findings have also been brought into question, and the family points to a reported injury on Morin's forehead, described as a penetration wound. They argue that this detail was not adequately reflected in the autopsy report and that it should be examined more closely. There are also concerns about missing personal items, specifically Morin's mobile phone, which according to the family could not be accounted for after her death. They believe this may be a critical piece of evidence and one could provide insight into her final movement and communications. The letter further notes the presence of another individual at the scene shortly after the incident and described as a spouse of a senior political figure. The family states that this person briefly visited. Described as the spouse of the senior political figure, the family states that this person briefly visited the location before leaving, a detail they believe raises additional questions. Taken together, these elements form the basis of the family's request. They are asking for a new inquest and one that would re-examine the evidence and provide what they describe as clearer understanding of what happened. The case has also drawn responses from political figures. Gachagua, a former deputy president and leader of the Democracy for Citizens Party, has publicly addressed the matter. He has denied any involvement and he has maintained that the death was the result of a road accident. The renewed focus on this case adds a layer of complexity to the current political environment. It connects past events with the present-day discussions, and it highlights the ongoing demand for accountability. And for many Kenyans, such cases carry deep significance. They are not only about individual tragedies, but also about the broader question of justice, how it pursued, how it is delivered, and how long it takes. At the same time, the president's remarks reflect the intensity of the current political climate, a period marked by strong exchanges between leaders and by growing public interest in both governance and accountability. As these issues unfold, they are likely to shape the national conversation in the weeks and months ahead. Political leaders will continue to speak. Families will continue to seek answers, and the institutions will be called upon to respond. For the public, the focus remains on clarity, on facts, and on outcomes that reflect both truth and fairness. As the debate intensifies and past questions resurface, the search for accountability continues, quietly reminding the nation that some issues do not fade with time. That is all for today from Kenya Lens Media. Kindly, if you are new here, consider subscribing as a way of supporting this platform grow. Also, it helps us bring you content from Kenya and beyond.